Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a Citadel Forged with Fire tutorial. Today we'll be going through magic and spells and really how to get the most out of some of them in a beginner's guide. Please make sure you like the video, help me out, leave a comment if there's anything you're having trouble with, and go and follow me on Mixer if you want to see me stream Citadel Forged with Fire a lot more. Link for that is in the description box down below. We also will have a Citadel's server up and running, so come and join my Discord for more information about when that will go live. Okay, spells. You may have managed to get yourself an axe or a weapon, a wand, but what do you do with it? How do you equip different spells? Well, go ahead and equip the weapon and then move over to your spell book. Now you can actually cycle through all the weapons that you've got by pressing the X or square button till you find one that's empty. Although you can put spells on top of weapons with them already. Now the base spells that you're able to craft without needing too many more resources is arcane. There's various different versions of these essences, the most common though being nature, light, dark, etc. But you do get some other ones like fire, storm and frozen too. By using these in your spell, you'll change what that spell does depending on if you're using it a weapon or on yourself. If you make a mistake, just simply move over and go back in and you'll be back with Arcana. These two boxes are damage that you do with your weapons. So depending on what weapon it is, you'll do different types of spells. A staff may be very different to using a glove. You can choose your weapons and which path you want to go down or what ones you want to unlock in your knowledge base. So left hand side is the damage that you do. Usually in a beam or a fireball or some sort of effect in an area. These two are utility and yourself. The hand being yourself and this one being utility. It doesn't matter what weapon you use, it's going to be exactly the same spell if you're using either of these two. So you'll have the same utility spell on every weapon or the same self spell on every weapon, but with slightly different effects. And that is all you need to start making spells on weapons. You don't actually need to put any ingredients in here. These will give you bonus attributes, including damage, better range, spell energy, leech, bleed and siege. Damage is going to do damage, obviously, how much you do. Range is how long or how far you can throw that spell and how much damage it will do. Spell energy is how much of a charge a spell might have before it runs out. Health leech will add a component that you'll take away health from the enemy. Bleed causes damage over time, and siege is specifically for building damage. So right now, as a default on my axe, by clicking the left click there and then clicking that one, we're going to make a blast spell. There you go, I've just made my blast spell and it pretty much will do a lot of damage to anything in front of me. Just like that, it will do a whole host of damage to any creatures in front. This time let's choose the area of effect. Let's choose the next slot and let's craft that spell. And this one's Arcane Storm. So my left one is pretty much a melee effect just in front of me, and the right one is a directional sort of ranged area of effect. These are pretty useful for creating traps. When an enemy's coming towards you, simply place one of these down and it will start taking massive amounts of damage. Let's go and test this out on the creature. Hopefully I won't get owned by some level 3 boar. Now we need something that actually is going to attack me, and the elk surprisingly won't do that. I've got a bird here, let's try the bird. So I'm going to do the area effect right on him, and you can see it's just absolutely wrecking him. And we can take all that as loot. Here's a good old reliable friend, Mr. Boar. Now let's put a trap almost just in front of him. And by now he should see us. Hello Mr. Boar, come forward my friend. And you can see they'll start taking damage if they go through it. So with a mixture of my melee attack as well as my storm attack, I could make pretty much quick work on most creatures. Now let's take another weapon and see what the other two will do. Remember, I'm still using my axe. This time we're going to use self, and we're going to change the slot, the LT there, and we've created a haste spell. and you can simply run around. And that's why you've been wondering why you move so slowly. It's because you're meant to use magic. And if we do utility on the right one, this is pretty much working like a teleport. You can run around, you can also use it in conjunction with other spells. And if you want to get around or away from a player, you can simply do that and combine them pretty well. That's why it's a great idea in Citadels to craft 3 weapons of each type and really plan each weapon having 2 uses. You can quickly switch weapons, so if you want to fly and do something different with one of them, you can do. And then the minute you want to get away, then you've also got that ability just by switching a weapon and mixing up your spells. So, pretty much simple attack, enemies in front of you or sometimes ranged. Area of a field attack, more or less traps that you can set. Spells that work on you that will either make you increase your speed, do jumps, or give you some sort of bonus like being able to go invisible. And then you've got utility, which alongside being able to maybe teleport, you can also get spells to help you tame creatures and gather and harvest resources. So you don't need any ingredients in these boxes, but it can give some bonus attributes. Let's create some different weapons and see how they act differently with the same spells. So we've already seen what an axe does with the 2 spells that can cause damage, just like them 2. What kind of damage will you get if you use different weapons? Let's try the glaive. Sometimes it can be a bit iffy. If it does that when you're trying to actually make a new spell on a weapon, just unequip everything and go back into the inventory and do it that way. So you'll notice that now I'm switching my weapon type, it's switching up what exactly I'm going to get. This is the projectile spell, and the one that looks like a TIE fighter from Star Wars is a beam spell. Let's go ahead and craft one just to show you. With the glaive I've managed to get a beam ability. I have to do that on the right hand side too. It has given me an arcane blast, which is the same as what I got last time. So glaives will always give you a beam spell or a blast, arcane blast. And we've already seen what the blast effect can do. Let's go for projectile. And let's do that left one. And now I've got a arcane missile. And if we craft the other spell up, it's going to give me the arcane storm. So wands will give you arcane storms and projectiles. So you can see I've got a projectile weapon now with my staff. And I've got the same storm effects that we saw earlier too. Now let's use the wand. And again you can see I've got arcane missile and I've got arcane beam. So in a way you can pretty much mix and match exactly what each of these do using the arcane magic. If you want one that does a sort of melee of effect attack right in front of you, but also does traps, you've got that with your axe. If you really want to be more about being at range, you're going to use your wand, because it has the projectiles as well as the storm trap. If you want damage that's more controlled, you can use your wand for projectiles, or you can use beam. Each essence or element is going to give you different types of attacks, so they have very different effects, but they'll more or less be the same sort of projectile or beam. So you get the idea. You can of course mix essences, so you can have arcane and nature spells on the same weapon. Now let's start adding some ingredients to this, just to highlight what you can get from bonuses. We're going to add to the spell. We're going to do it as a projectile. Let's craft it up. So you can see it's just simply given me a 2% extended reach. Do we get any bonuses if we filled it all with mushrooms? And yep, you can see I've now increased my range to 9%. This might be a good test to see how far we've come. Now of course the only problem is that you're going to need lots and lots of magic and mana if you're going to be using nothing but these spells. That's why it's a good idea to put as many points into your mana as possible. And don't forget to shut your doors. And there we go, we just about killed that sprite. So if I want to do more damage with a spell, then attaching lots of crowberry to it is going to increase that. You can see it does 1+ damage, and we can mix it up and add a ghost orchid for 2% extra energy, so I can use my spells even more. Let's do that on a melee one, the blast. Let's mix it up with maybe the glaive. So you can see I'm doing 24 to 57 damage normally, but I've now increased damage by 4% and I'm getting that bonus energy of 2%. And I've slightly increased how much damage I do overall. And that is pretty much it into spell crafting. Whenever you get a brand new resource or region, make sure you look at it and see what it actually does. It'll give you the options in terms of what it does for potions, whether or not it just gives you a buff for eating it, or what it does when it's combined with weapons and spells. I'm not going to list every single spell because quite frankly I've not discovered every single spell just yet. Just remember this though, these spells on the left are going to be damage spells, so they're either going to be projectiles or melee blasts, and these change depending on what weapon you're using. These ones here never change. You're always going to get the same spell no matter what weapon you use. Unless of course you're using a different essence and you will get a completely different spell. Let's just give this one a shot. We'll do blast, we'll do the LT, and let's craft it. For 10 seconds, damage dealt to creature will be leached to heal caster 10%. So that seems like a pretty good combination. Ah, perfect. Something more my level. Let's try hair. In fact, I might try and do that there. And then switch over to condemn. And there you go, I've condemned it now, so it's going to start giving me health over time if I manage to stay alive. There's definitely room for making build guides with this and making sure you've got enough ingredients to eat, either it's potions or foods, to replenish your mana, and obviously make sure you're putting points into your mana, which give you a bigger health pool but not necessarily a bigger regeneration. Things like amulets, necklaces, the bonus stuff that you wear and your armor, you're going to be looking out for stuff that's always going to give you more replenishment of your mana. I will go through some more spells in another video, particularly how to tame and how to gather resources using spells on weapons. Stay tuned for that one and look out for more advanced spell crafted weapons soon. Once I get hold of some of the more rare essences, I'm going to show you some of the new spells that you can add to the weapons and generally get a good mix of offensive, defensive and replenishment. Thanks a lot for watching. If this has been useful, let me know by liking the video, ask me in the comments section any help you need, and go and check out all the rest of my Citadel guides, and come and join my Discord to keep up to date with what's going on with my server that will be setting up very soon. Until next time, ratbags, laters.